Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's cracking, Fantasy Champs?
What's up? What's up?
My name's Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always.
How we doing?
I'm doing wonderful. My football team blows.
Hey, whoa. We're still really early, all right? We haven't even played preseason yet.
I'm happy. You sound like me when we had Mac.
I'm just saying, bro.
Now I'm scarred. So
let's relax, all right? I don't think your football team is that good, though. I'll say that.
Over under 6 wins. For the Patriots.
Well, that's probably where I'd have them.
Okay.
So
he's like, I'm not betting on it at all.
I bet over on 4.5.
Yeah, that's probably good.
That?
I don't see how they're the worst team in the league. We'll talk about that on this show, though.
Oh, will we?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, not the defense, but
okay.
Yeah, the offense side well. But anyway, welcome to Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. We're gonna try to finish up this week our breakdowns for the division, and that means that today we're gonna do the NFC AFC East breakdowns. On the next show, we'll do the NFC AFC South.
Yeah.
Type in the notes.
Did we do the South, or am I tripping?
No, we didn't do the South.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll do that. That should be 16 teams in 1 week, which is a friggin' fire hose. But we want to focus on mock drafts, rankings, breakouts, busts, sleepers, all that crap going into the month of August. As we
definitely got to do some mock drafts, dude. We haven't done one yet.
The freaking
last year we were doing them from May.
I know. I know, for real. So we're gonna do a lot of crap. But so please stick with us. Follow along. We'll give you as much content as we need. August is draft month here, so this is it. This is the final countdown, the final ride. There are 4, 5. I can't remember. One of the two numbers. Empty Sundays remaining.
Wow.
So, and I just keep seeing Scott Hansen post things about it. I'm like, can you not get me excited for Red Zone?
No, I'm actually the first Thursday night football game this year. I'm not like that crazy pumped about for the first time, and it has nothing to do with football.
Who wants to watch the Chiefs? Nobody.
It's just Chiefs and Ravens, which I'm not like. No disrespect to your fandom. I'm not a huge fan of watching the Ravens, and the Chiefs, are the new Patriots,
because they run the football.
Us used to be great, but yeah, they're just kind of boring to me. And then the Chiefs are like,
Yeah, we got to watch these guys. I'm excited to see Xavier Worthy.
But I am excited for football, so I will be there no matter what. Even those Thursday, it's like the jokes where it's like those terrible Thursday night football games, like week 12 when it's like Panthers and Commanders are better than like in the summer when there's nothing.
Oh yeah, for real.
You miss those.
I'll
miss
take
those
anything.
bad games.
Bro, I would take like mid-spring. The two worst teams in the league playing a football game for the first overall pick.
That'd be awesome.
I would take that every day of the week. But anyway, so let's do the NFC AFC breakdowns. Before we jump into that, check out our website. Actually, the website is not there anymore. It's non-existent. We need to rebuild that.
Oh,
I shifted platforms, so there is no website. But I keep saying it because it's in the note. It's on my list. But follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're on any of those platforms, just type in the FF Champs or the Fantasy Champions. You'll find us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review. Share this pod with your friends. One way you can support the show if you're listening. So pull over the car, put down the weight that you're lifting, or if you're running, just stop and leave a review. If you're watching. Just stop whatever you're doing and leave a review. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, so I know you have the capability to like and comment. If you want more content, it's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the NFC, AFC breakdowns. I really want to start with the AFC, but I feel like before I get myself lubed up for the worst team in the NFL, projected worst team in the NFL, we should probably go through the NFC East.
Okay.
So we'll
Let's
do
do
that
the
first.
NFC East first because
We'll
that'll probably we can speed run it a lot better.
Yes. Yeah, that's for true. And then when we get to the Pats, it'll just be me talking for 40 hours. Hopefully not. I've calmed down over the years. But anyway, let's get to the Dallas Cowboys. Coming into this year, not a ton of stuff has changed. The running back room is kind of interesting, but yeah, they're generally the same than that they have been over the past couple years. Dak Prescott is the starting quarterback for this football team.
Where would you rank Dak real quick?
He was top 3 last year.
He was.
Don't love that, Bob. That means he's going to be overdrafted. So I'm going to put him lower.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way. I'm always like
around
he's so inconsistent year to year. Like last year he had a great year, and now it's like he's kind of due for a mid-year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still going to be good. But
how many touchdowns did he throw to get to
300? He had 36 touchdowns, 4,500 yards last year.
Did he rush?
3. Not really. 200 rushing yards.
Wow.
2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, that's interesting. He had 351 fantasy points, so he cleared Lamar Jackson by 20, even though Lamar didn't play Week 18, so probably would have been QB4. But interesting with Dak Prescott. I do think I don't mind where he's ranked on Fantasy Pros. He's the quarterback 9 right now, so 9 to 11 is probably where I'd have him, and I definitely would want him over some guys around him, which would be Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Tua, Goff. Like, I'd definitely have those guys over him. So
is it a hot take that I might like Jordan Love more?
It's not a hot take. I mean, you can like him more if you'd like, but
I just watched him last year and I just was like, this is Aaron Rodgers reincarnated.
Oh boy! All right. He is ADPing, by the way, at 95.
But
you know what, dude?
At his spot, he's not bad.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, he's not bad at his spot.
Yeah, not bad.
He's just like I just so.
Why am I going to be in on Dak Prescott? Keep me. Take the Cowboys. Punt them into the sun. I don't want to watch another Cowboys game. I don't want to be called a Cowboys fan.
Sometimes I just find it so hard to trust Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Here, this will be easier for you.
Okay. Help me.
On Underdog, which, is totally different than Sleeper, and we'll see how it looks in a few weeks, but Joe Burrow is going in like the 80s and 90s. So Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott are only like 5 to 10 picks away from each other.
I would take Joe Burrow way over.
So just take Joe Burrow. Just do that.
Yeah, I'd take Joe Burrow way over. Yeah. So, I mean, I expect kind of, I haven't really dove in, or I don't know the correct verbiage for that. Dove, I'll say dove. The Olympics are going on and they're doing the diving competitions. And I can't say the right word, but I haven't gotten into the strength of schedule yet for players, so that usually determines whether I think they're going to have a better or worse season, but nothing has really changed for Dallas. I do know that like Dak is like a roller coaster, and to take him on a year that is the opposite of that, I actually kind of anticipated, at being QB3 that he would be drafted significantly higher than pick 90, but there are quarterbacks that are in that range that I would.
There was a lot of quarterbacks last year injured and certain circumstances. So, but yeah, no, it's honestly at QB9, QB10, like that's a good spot for him. I like him there. If he was any higher though, I probably wouldn't.
The Dallas Cowboys lost the one thing that they did have at the running back position. They lost A1 Tony Pollard. He went to the Tennessee Titans.
And they just brought Zeke back.
So they went back to the well with Ezekiel Elliott. They did draft a guy in the 6th round last year, Deuce Vaughn, and they have this really, really short running back, Rico Dwaddle.
People are saying, from what I've heard, is Rico definitely is the most explosive guy in the backfield.
Deuce Vaughn is the short guy.
They might be doing like a similar backfield to what they had 2 years ago when they had Zeke, and it was like Zeke and Pollard, and they kind of split. So I think they're going to do that again with Rico and Zeke. But Zeke is getting drafted at RB36, which for an RB1 is very, very low, or is ranked at RB36, I should say. And Rico is getting ranked at RB46, which is also very low. I feel like one of these guys is going to be outperforming that.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't want any of these guys.
I know it's gross, but it's like you're looking at a top 10 offense in the NFL, and they don't have a running back ranked in the top 35.
Yeah, I don't know. That's wild. I mean, I would tend to look towards like this Deuce Vaughn kid is very.
He's explosive, but the dude is like 5'4".
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's 5'5". He's so short that I don't know if he can actually pull it off. So, without getting absolutely murdered.
He might have a role, but he's not gonna be.
He better weigh like 200 pounds at that 220 pounds at that 5'5", and be all pure muscle for him to stay healthy. Because
he right now is the third running back on the depth chart.
Yeah. So, it is like you said, it's probably going to be Dwaddle behind there, and that they're going to try to split. But I do think Pollard was a third-round pick for this football team, third or fourth-round pick. And, despite his failures and mishaps at times, he was still a good running back for this team. I don't think that this is going to be the proof is in the pudding. Everyone talks about how you can get any running back to fill the need. You know what I mean? You don't need to draft a guy. You don't need to sign a guy. So this is going to be the proof case for that, because they don't really have a guy. They just have a 6th-round pick and an undrafted guy here.
I'll also say this. I would probably expect them to draft somebody next year.
Yeah, I would agree.
Or add at least.
But I was gonna say Zeke. It wouldn't surprise me if there's because they have a lot of guys. They got Royce Freeman on the roster. I don't know if any of these guys are still on the roster, by the way. So forgive me if they're not. But if they have this is undrafted guy, 5'8", 200 pounds. He was undrafted this year, so he's a rookie. Nate Pete. They have Malik Davis as well, and this other guy, Snoop Connor. So there's a lot of undrafteds on the team, and I think, remember the year that what's his name came flying? James Robinson came flying out of nowhere as a 6th-round pick.
Yeah,
that could be a situation for Dallas coming through training camp. So just keep an eye on who's winning reps. But I always hate to go back to the old man on the roster, and I always like to go with the younger guy. So you were talking about, Zeke was 36 and Dwaddle was 40 something.
47.
So I would always go with the younger guy and be like, okay, well, if Dwaddle's there at 47, I'll take him over Zeke at 46 because Zeke's old. But I don't particularly like Dwaddle all that much, and Zeke didn't look dead last year with the Patriots. So
it's just one of those situations. I don't like any of them, but I know that one of them is going to be decent.
Yeah.
They're not going to have – their offense is too good to not have a single running back in the top 30.
Yeah.
So it's going to be somebody. And I probably would say Rico and PPR because I do think he's going to be their passing back.
Yeah.
But, the Cowboys also have a fetish for Zeke. So, you never know.
They do. They love Zeke.
He's 30 years old, though.
I do think that right now, because if they had drafted somebody, I would be more inclined, in the 3rd or 4th round, not even somebody that was going to be a starter day one.
Yeah.
I would be more inclined to think Zeke, take the younger kid, and then Zeke would also be there, and he would take the veteran reps to start the season. And then by week 6 or 7, there would be a switch where the new guy takes over. There's just no new guy. So it's if Dwaddle sucks and Deuce Vaughn sucks and whoever else is here sucks and Zeke is there and he's being mid, Zeke is going to continue to get the goal line reps. He's going to continue to get the first 1-2 downs, and he's going to get the opportunities to pass catch. So it's to me, Zeke would be the guy fantasy football wise that you would look to, but I just don't know. So keep an eye on the running back room for the Cowboys. I would say maybe because they're so far down the board, I don't mind taking Zeke. I don't mind taking Dwaddle, but at the end of the day, I don't take them anticipating much.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yesterday, Stephen Jones had an interview talking about the running backs. So Jerry Jones' son. And the way he was talking, just kind of quickly reading this paragraph, it seems to me that they have a Zeke fetish because they're talking about complimenting Zeke. Great compliment. Royce Freeman could be a great addition and great compliment to Zeke. Rico will be competing in the room. Like Zeke is the guy, it sounds like, which is like kind of crazy because he's 30 years old and extremely washed. But it's the Cowboys, so whatever.
The Cowboys are being the Cowboys. All right, the receiver room. Not a ton of guys that I love. I believe they drafted somebody in the 6th round this year.
I won't play.
Probably won't play. They do have Michael Gallup is not here anymore, but they weren't really using him to begin with.
Michael Gallup retired.
Is he? No, he moved teams, didn't he?
He did, and then he retired when training camp started.
Wow, that's so funny.
Out of the blue, that. He said he was sick of coming back from injuries.
Interesting. Did they sign Brandon Cooks this offseason?
They did.
Okay, all right. Brandon Cooks is with the Dallas Cowboys, and then you have CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, he was on the Cowboys last year, bro. They just re-signed him.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Did they re-sign him? Because I thought he was with Houston. Not because his picture here on the player profiler has him as a Texan, but I thought he played for the Texans last year.
No.
So
he had 8 touchdowns last year for the Cowboys. Only 50 catches though.
Brandon Cooks is old.
He is.
He's 30 years old, almost 30. He's going to be 31 probably when the season starts. And then obviously you have CeeDee. So CeeDee's a top 3 wide receiver regardless.
He is ranked right now on multiple websites as the wide receiver 1. He's going as the 2nd overall pick on Sleeper.
I thought you were going to say wide receiver 5 and completely blow up my spot, but yes, I agree.
He's the 101 of receivers right now.
Interesting. I don't agree with that.
Because I don't.
I think he's like 3 or 4. But I don't want to hold on to the past here with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, I guess. But CeeDee, so CeeDee's going to be CeeDee, so he's fine. Nothing really changes there. Brandon Cooks, though, like, what are you doing with him?
I have not been in on Brandon Cooks in like 5 years.
EDP 114.
I'm still not going to say I'm in on him, but I actually like him more this year because look at the room. Like there's outside of CeeDee Lamb, it's just trash. So like he has to get targets in this offense, even though he's an old man. So and like the way he's being drafted right now is like borderline undrafted. So like as a late like 13th round guy that you can just plug and play, like he might be okay.
He might be okay. I hate that it's an old guy. Like you could see some.
I know, I do too. But like, he is going to have a role in that offense.
You could see some upside.
He's the clear second guy
for Jalen Tolbert, who was a 3rd round pick in 2022.
He's been so bad.
He's been so bad, but like they throw it 590 times a season. Like I mean, there's like. Maybe that 6th round pick comes in. They also have a speed guy, Kevontae Turpin, who they drafted, was undrafted in 2019, who's just real fast.
If they drafted someone early, then I think I would be in on that guy more than Brandon Cooks. But because the only guy they drafted was in the 6th round, and I don't think Jalen Tolbert's very good, it kind of opens things up for Cooks to have
so
one
many
more.
Targets that I agree with you. I don't think it's a bad selection. I just hate taking old guys. This whole team is just taking old guys. But like I said, Brandon Cooks at pick 115? Like that's not bad. So
yeah.
All right, and then at tight end you got Jake Ferguson, and then Luke Schoonmaker. Ferguson actually looked good last year at times. He had 102. At times he was very good last year actually. He had 102 targets, 71 catches, 761 yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. Did he get hurt?
He had more targets than Brandon Cooks, so he's the real number 2 in this offense.
I thought he got hurt. I don't know why I remember.
You're thinking of a different tight end.
Oh,
but I forget his name.
Okay,
but not even on the team
right
anymore,
now. Ferguson's ranked as the 9th tight end, according to the expert consensus on Fantasy Pros. And he is being drafted at pick 84. So I don't love the value that he has in underdog fantasy ADP.
Yeah, it is gross. But that's the thing. So that's kind of the thing with the Cowboys. Like it's kind of gross, but like outside of CeeDee Lamb, they're gonna have players that score. They are a really good football team. Yeah. So old guys like Zeke and Brandon Cooks. And gross guys like Jake Ferguson, like those guys are gonna get fantasy points this year. As gross as it is.
I thought they drafted it. No, it's not. They didn't draft that, guys.
They did draft Shoemaker.
Schoonmaker, yeah. Second round pick.
But
22.
Was he this year?
That was 2023, last year. This might be the guy that got hurt. No, he didn't get hurt.
No, I think the guy that I forget his. I know who you're talking about, but I don't think he's on the team anymore.
I would keep an eye. I mean, obviously Ferguson had a better season than Schoonmaker, and Schoonmaker didn't really get any kind of opportunity. I would keep an eye on Schoonmaker, though, not for drafts, but as the season goes along, because if he starts to get an increased workload, that could lead to, because there's so many opportunities on the team, if Ferguson starts to fall apart and it is Schoonmaker, then you can draft. I would say you could draft him, or not draft him. You could pick him up, and you might have a good time in the rest of season, because we talk about the target tree, and it's short. It's really short.
Yeah, it is very short. I have a feeling they're going to be running a lot of like 2 tight end, 2 receiver sets in the offense.
Yeah. All right.
So Shoemaker might have a bigger role.
You want to move on to the Giants?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the New York Giants. Featured on Hard Knocks offseason, the New York Giants. I just scrolled quickly through their offense.
So you want to talk about the Patriots, spoiler alert, being one of the worst teams in the league? This might be one of the worst offenses in the league.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This is brutal. All right, so you have Danny Dimes, who is here.
For now.
They tried to move up. Go get Drake May or
This
somebody.
is his last chance. Like, not even with the Giants, but like in the NFL.
I'm not going to lie. Daniel Jones, based on what I've been hearing from Drake May in camp, he probably would have beat him out in camp. That hurts my penis.
Well, I don't know, because I just clicked on Daniel Jones' name, and the headline is Daniel Jones Giants have brutal day on Tuesday.
Oh, God. How long before into the season before they fire Dayball?
Probably halfway, and I think it would be stupid of them, but
yeah, I love Dayball. I think he's great.
I do too. And he was pounding the table for May.
Honestly, I think all of this team's like misfortunes are due to the front office. To be honest with you, they just have they have no identity.
The front office. And Daniel Jones, man, it's just
he's bad. I mean, why you re-signed him to $45 million? Ooh, I can't. Don't get me started. I freaking can't stand it. But anyway, Daniel Jones,
probably the worst contract in the NFL.
Daniel Jones is an interesting guy for fantasy football, though, because he does, when he's on the field and he's like healthy. He actually like is streamable at times, and maybe even like a borderline like week to week starter because he rushes. With the season when he was healthy in 2022, he averaged 18 fantasy points per game, which was top 10 at the quarterback position. Yeah. Last year, obviously, he averaged 10 points per game, which sucked, but he only played 6 games, so there's not.
He can be a sneaky good streaming option when he is healthy, but it's just like you're not going to draft him.
No, you're not going to draft him. So I like. It wouldn't even shock me that Daniel Jones loses his job to Drew Lock this year. That would not even stun me.
I agree. I 100% agree.
So keep an eye on that.
What about the running back room, dude?
So we got Devin Singletary, who they signed. That was their replacement for Saquon Barkley, who left to go to another team that we'll talk about in a second, who just keeps stacking while the Giants keep losing.
Yeah, let's replace Saquon Barkley with Devin Singletary.
Thank you. Singletary has been a solid RB3, low-end RB2 at times throughout his career, but he has gotten worse over the last couple years, and it hasn't looked great. So I think his ceiling's kind of capped. I honestly don't know if he's going to be the guy. They did draft this guy in the 5th round last year, Eric Gray. So, I mean, I guess you could keep an eye on that dude, but Singletary is going to be the guy that, I mean, what did they sign him for? I'm trying to find the contract.
They gave him an okay deal. I mean, Singletary is going to be the guy to start. And Eric Gray had a little bit of work last year, and he sucked. He had 2 yards of carry.
Oh, yeah.
I think they both suck. So I'm kind of avoiding both, but
it was a whole bag of suck.
Yeah, if you want to take Gray as a flyer, go ahead.
Yeah.
Singletary, like, I kind of want to avoid, but he is getting drafted pretty low. So if you want to take him as a flyer as well. I'm not going to stop you, but the running back room is gross. It is disgusting.
I think like when we look back at the Dallas Cowboys, I'll say this quickly, but when we look back at the Dallas Cowboys and you see that running back room with Rico Dwaddle, Deuce Vaughn, and like it looks gross, but that's a team that's going to score a lot. So like there's opportunity and upside for those guys to outperform what people would actually think of them. Whereas a guy like Devin Singletary is on a bad football team, a team that sure they revamped their offensive line this offseason, but like they don't have much of anything on the offensive side of the ball. Daniel Jones blows. Their running game sucks. They lost Darren Waller this offseason, and they're relying on, at receiver, a rookie wide receiver that looks pretty good in camp so far. We're not going to lie, but I don't think that's going to make their offense that much better. It's just a bad offense, and if the offense is bad, then Singletary's not going to have a lot of opportunities. And if he doesn't have a lot of opportunities to score touchdowns, his ceiling is going to be capped, and I think it already is capped. So, like, I could be an idiot passing up on Devin Singletary, but I'm good. I'm good going.
I'll be on that train with you.
I'm good going after a 27-year-old running back on a bad offense. All set. Wide receiver, they drafted Malik Neighbors. They still have Wandale. Darius Slayton's here. Jalen Hyatt had some opportunities last year. It's a mixture of guys.
Allen Robinson's on the Giants?
Yeah, his corpse is on the Giants. I don't know if he's there.
He might get cut.
But Hyatt had some moments last year before he got hurt. I actually think he's kind of a similar player to Slayton. Personally.
Yeah, this might sound crazy. I actually don't hate their wide receiver room. They just don't have a quarterback.
You like Wandale. You've always been a Wandale guy.
I like Wandale. I actually like Hyatt for what he's, he's like Tyquan, but maybe a better version.
Yeah. And
I like Malik Neighbors. So, like, if that's your 1, 2, 3, I don't think that's that bad.
So, I'm not going to lie. Because I don't dislike Wandale. Slayton's dead to me, and Hyatt is like a guy that I guess you could look at too. Hyatt. I want to see what. I'm quickly trying to find his ADP, but quickly give me your thoughts on Malik Neighbors because I think that's going to be the biggest.
He's one of the most he's one of the toughest guys. I'm mostly out on him, but there's a part of me that is kind of still in because he's such a talented player.
You like him,
right? He was a 6th overall pick.
Right.
He's going to be like the early reports are saying like he's already the focal point of the offense.
Yeah.
So like he's going to be the guy. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to get 10 targets a game. He's probably going to be really good in PPR. But what is his ceiling with Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, and where he's getting drafted right now is just really high.
They had 472 attempts in Daniel Jones' season in 2022. I think that was Ben. I was gonna say Ben McAdoo. That's not right. Brian Daboll's first season with the team. So
on underdog, he's getting drafted as wide receiver 20.
If Jones,
which is a 3rd round pick.
If Jones passes the ball 500 times. And it's going to get spread out among Neighbors, Wandale, Hyatt, Slayton. Like obviously, Neighbors is. Going to get a majority of the targets.
I'm not sure it will get spread out. I mean, it will a little bit, but like they want to give Neighbors they want the offense to run through him in the passing game at least.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But still, it's the Giants.
I don't mind him. It depends on the ADP. Like his ADP is 27 right now, so it's high for it's high for a rookie who is.
I do agree with that, and I like Neighbors, but it's
who's on a football team that we've talked about is bad. Now, who knows? Maybe Neighbors comes in and he ends up elevating the offense, and Daniel Jones looks better than we think he is. He looks like the $45 million quarterback they paid him to be, and it makes the offense more efficient. Then that makes everything else look kind of different. But I just don't believe in the Giants all that much. So, like if Neighbors is in redrafts in the 4th or 5th round, of course I'll take him because you can't pass on a guy that's going to get 150 targets. So like, I'm not going to pass up on that. But if it's like a top 3 round selection, there's other guys.
Right. And I get it, like, because like best ball, when I drafted him once or twice in best ball because it's just for like the ceiling of it, right? And his upside is too high, but like in redraft, I don't think that it's warranted because his floor is also kind of low.
Okay.
I mean, as a rookie receiver in a bad offense, like it's kind of there's a lot of risk with him.
Yep.
Being drafted that high. So when you need like the kind of the core players of your team, if he was a 5th round pick, I think I'd be a lot more into it. But late third round is kind of early to me.
So with that being said, the tight end position kind of interesting. Darren Waller was here and then he wasn't. So he retired. He's so young that I could see him just being like, hey, I want to come back, but I don't think that's going to happen. So they have Daniel Bellinger.
Who kind of sucks.
Who sucks. So nothing at the tight end position for this team for redraft that we need to really discuss. But that's New York.
You don't like Theo Johnson, 4th round pick?
No, I'm good. Maybe in 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm staying far away from him in drafts. But let's go.
Overall, I'm not really drafting anyone on the Giants except maybe Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. Philadelphia Eagles. Let's move on to them. They have Jalen Hurts. They traded for Kenny Pickett. Another backup option over there.
There you go.
But Hurts is going to be the guy. Hurts is, I would say, to me, on a year-to-year basis, he should be ranked in the top 3 to 5 of fantasy football, and he should be drafted in that range as well. His rushing upside is insanely good, so not much to say with Jalen Hurts. Do you have any burning, desirable thoughts to talk about with Jalen Hurts?
No, kind of exact. Like, he's top 3. He might be 3rd. Well, he might be 2nd, actually, behind Josh Allen.
Yep.
He's top 3.
So, yeah, the offense should be fine with him. As far as the running backs are concerned, biggest move this team made, you can forget about every single person that they have in their running back room outside of Saquon Barkley, who they signed this offseason. Usually don't like running backs on second contracts going to different teams. Usually is a death knoll for that team.
Yeah.
And he is 27 years old, but Barkley looks good. Like, he looked good last year. Where do you finish on the season, by the way?
He was RB13, but he missed 3 games.
Okay, yeah. So he
was top 10 in points per game.
So yeah, he was still good last year. There wasn't much to. I think a lot of his misfortune in not finishing in the top 5 has to do with the offense being as bad as it was. But right now he's ranked as the running back 6. He's going, I would assume, very high off the boards. ADP of 90.
You like it, don't you?
I like that a lot. Saquon Barkley is going to be on a lot of Rick and I's teams, I think.
Yep.
Because this offense is really good. The only thing I'm concerned about is the tush push.
Agreed. Yeah.
Touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's.
I've heard that as like an argument against Saquon, and I do agree that it is concerning. But like, it's not like he was getting goal line carries on the Giants.
Well, that's the thing is, like, you look back at Saquon's previous seasons, like, this home dog was ripping off, like, massive touchdown runs.
Right. That was, like, half of his touchdowns. So it's it's not. I don't think it's really, like...
Doesn't really change anything.
No. And he's done a better offense, so, like... I don't think he's as good of a player as he was when he first entered the league, just from injuries and age and all that. But he's still, at this point in his career, one of, like, I would say top 5 or 6 running back in the league. And he's never had a good offensive line. In every season with the Giants, like when teams game planned for Saquon, you would see they would have 8 in the box every single play. Now there's AJ Brown, there's Devontae Smith, there's Jalen Hurts can run it on a read option. Like he's not going to be the focal point of the offense, which is a good thing for him because it's going to open up so much in the run game. I think this is going to be the most efficient season we've seen from Saquon since like his first 2 years in the league before he got hurt the first time.
Yep.
So I do think, I mean, I'm very much in on Saquon. You do have to get Kenneth Gainwell though, because injuries are always going to be a concern with Barkley. But as long as he stays healthy, like I think he's going to be a top 5 back to me.
Yeah, his
he might be 5th, but
I think the year that you can kind of because obviously. Miles Sanders, who was on the team last year? Was it DeAndre Swift? I'm trying to think.
Swift, yeah.
Yeah, Swift. Swift last year.
He was really good at first.
He
kind of fell off.
Yeah, he was really good at first and kind of fell off a little bit, but he had 15 starts. He had 229 attempts. So, if Saquon, I would imagine Saquon, they paid him a load of cash.
They're going to give Saquon more touches.
They're going to give Saquon more touches. Sure. But, that was only just rushing attempts. He also had 39 receptions. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if he hits 300 touches on an
Which
offense
he will,
that's
I
good,
think.
like he should be to me, he should be considered a top 5 running
Well, it's
back.
like when McCaffrey went from the Panthers to the 49ers. Like, it's such a big switch of how good. Like, you go from such a bad team like the Giants to such a good team with such a good offensive line like the Eagles. I know they lost Jason Kelce, which is going to hurt, but they still have a very good offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's going to open up things that Barkley has never seen in his career. Like, he's going to have giant holes. And he's like, whoa.
Whoa.
Exactly. So I'm very much in on Barkley.
I will say
he's not gonna get like 15 rushing touchdowns though because of Jalen Hurts, but if he even gets like 8 or 9 with a couple of receiving touchdowns and then just the amount of touches he has with his efficiency, he should be very, very good.
Make note of the fact that they did lose one of the best centers in the league.
Yeah, they did.
This offseason. So
which actually, in a weird way, might help Saquon because of the tush push. Will they still do the tush push as much without Jason Kelce?
I don't know. I mean, they got a guy that can drop 500, 600 pounds on squat. So I think Saquon Barkley will push.
Yeah.
His way into the touchdown.
There
all right,
you go.
Let's talk about the wide receiver position. Paris Campbell does come over here, and then they also brought in a wide receiver in the 5th round, Ainias Smith. I am not.
Neither of those guys are going to play. Well, Paris Campbell might, but
Paris Campbell will probably play, but neither of those guys are really going to be fantasy relevant. It's AJ Brown, it's Devonta Smith. Smith did have a down year last year compared to his previous years. What'd you say?
The year I drafted him. Yeah. Actually, you drafted him.
I drafted him and traded him to you.
I traded for him. He was mid.
So
he wasn't mid. I mean, he was still good, but
he was a wide receiver 19 last year.
Yeah.
AJ Brown is the clear one on this football team. He was a top 5 receiver in fantasy football last year. I still believe in it. I love AJ Brown, so don't get me started on him. But what are you doing with Devonta Smith?
He kind of is what he is. I mean, at his ADP right now, it's not too bad.
He is what he is.
I think he's getting drafted. So, like, Fantasy Pros has him ranked at wide receiver 22.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll take that.
Yeah, he's definitely down.
He's not a wide receiver 1.
Wide receiver 15 from last
Where
year.
Is it?
He was between 12 to 15 last year in rankings. Now he's way down the board.
Yeah, but where he is, like, at 12 to 15, that was probably too high for him.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, at 22, I don't think that's bad. Your expectations is just he's not going to be a guy who, like, he can't be a wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
he's a complimentary guy, but he is good. Like, he had good weeks. He was wide receiver 19, and he missed a week. So points per game wise, he was he's a top 20 receiver still. So
yeah,
he's still a good player.
Okay, I'm trying to find his perception chart by Matt Harmon. 2023.
He is a very good NFL receiver. I think if he had an opportunity somewhere else, like you put him on the Pats,
oh yeah,
he's their wide receiver 1 instantly.
Yeah, his charts look very good. 75th percentile versus man, 67th percentile versus zone, 82nd percentile against press in the games Matt Harmon charted. I like Devonta Smith. I would say the offense as a whole for the Eagles had a down year last year.
Yeah.
There were usually.
Do you think it's a down year? Or do you think that's really kind of what they are now?
I think it was a down year. I think their coach is extremely cocky, and I think he came into the season last year thinking that we can just do the same thing that we did last year and it'll be fine, and didn't really adjust or change anything, and it led to what happened last year in a lot of ways. So I think this year, after they lost in the divisional round, there should be changes for him in order to improve the team. But we'll see what happens because his job's on the line now. People are talking about Bill Belichick to the Philadelphia Eagles next year. All right, tight ends. You got Dallas Goedert. Are you still drafting Goedert?
I actually like Goedert for where he's going. He hasn't really like scored touchdowns, so I don't want to say he's due for a big touchdown season, but like he kind of is because he still had 83 targets in 14 games.
Yep.
He finished as tight end 14 while missing 3 games, and he's getting drafted as tight end 13. So at his ADP, I think he's pretty good.
Okay. I don't dislike him at 80.
He's like a low. I mean, he's going to be finished as like tight end 10 or 11. But if you get that in the 12th round or 11th round, like that's,
I'd kind of rather go after guys with
more upside,
who are younger and have more upside.
Okay.
But if you're still into Dallas Goedert, I'm not going to judge you.
It's just like he's getting drafted just so low.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll tell you who's getting drafted ahead of him right now in 1 second. If I can. Okay, maybe I won't tell you.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, here we go.
Okay, all right. I was going to say, we got to move on to the Commanders.
Dallas Goedert is currently pick 1. Oh, he did move up a little bit. He's 115, tight end 12.
Mm-hmm.
But Brock Bowers is getting drafted ahead of him.
Ooh.
And David Njoku's getting drafted ahead of him. Right behind him is Dalton Schultz and your guy, Pat Freiermuth.
Wow.
And Cole Kmet.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I do kind of like that than those guys. We'll see when I get to the draft. Maybe I will draft Dallas Goedert. All right, let's move on to the Washington Commanders. I don't know that much is going to change in the way of success offensively for this football team compared to last year, but there is some upside and some hope with Jaden Daniels coming in. He was drafted number 2 overall for them. They have a lot of quarterbacks on the roster. Holy crap. But anyway, so Daniels is going to likely, I would imagine, start week 1. He's right now ranked as the QB 11 in fantasy football.
Yeah.
And he is.
That's where he's getting drafted as well.
He's similar to.
Kind of like A-Rich last year.
He's kind of similar to Anthony Richardson last year. Lots of rushing upside for Jaden Daniels. Questions about his arm. There's a lot of similarities, and I don't dislike drafting him at QB 11. I don't hate that. Especially when you talk about the amount of guys that like Dak Prescott, for example. He's going at pick, what did I say, 90-something? If you were to go double dip in the 9th and the 10th round.
Yeah.
And get him and Jaden Daniels.
Not bad.
And if Jaden Daniels goes up, you know, Dak gives you that floor. I don't mind that.
I don't know what his strength of schedule is, by the way, but it looks like the first half of the season looks pretty easy for him.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the Giants twice in the first 9 weeks, which is good.
Interesting.
He has Arizona, he has Carolina, Chicago. So, I mean, he might have a good year.
Yeah.
He does make me a little nervous.
Yeah, I don't like what happened with Richardson last year was an anomaly. Especially for a guy that doesn't have a lot of like passing upside in year 1, because there are questions about his accuracy. There are questions about his mental makeup, stuff like that. So, I mean, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Because I would say Anthony Richardson's questions about accuracy and mental makeup were worse. So it could work out for Jay.
Yeah, I think Jay Daniels probably is a little more pro ready than Anthony Richardson is.
Yep. So,
but he also weighs what, like 200 pounds?
Yeah. Oh, he could get hurt real quick.
Yeah,
but he's definitely got rushing. He's
not bad. He's not bad at his ADP.
Yeah, I don't mind him. All right, at running back, they signed Austin Eckler to a contract who looked like a corpse last year, to be honest, running the football. He's slow. He's old. There's not much upside.
The Eckler stands are saying it's because he was injured. I don't necessarily believe it, but that's what the Eckler stands say on Twitter.
Eckler is way down on ADP, which is kind of crazy. I've never seen Austin Eckler at running back 33 before. But with him at running back 33 on the Washington Commanders, like I don't see much upside for him here. No. I think Brian Robinson is going to be their guy, and then
he's going to get more carries.
I think Eckler could see a similar role to that of Antonio Gibson. I think that's what they brought him.
I think that's exactly what they're going to do. See, part of me is like I kind of like Eckler that ADP because like, oh well, he'll catch a lot of passes, so PPR wise. But then I'm like, he's not going to get rushing touchdowns because Brian Robinson's the goal line guy, and Jaden Daniels is going to get a lot of rushing touchdowns. Absolutely. And how much is Jaden Daniels going to dump it off to Eckler?
Not that much.
Like I don't really see a path for Eckler.
Yeah,
to be honest.
He's an older running back, so guys are going to be in on him. Let your league mates draft him. He's on the list of let your league mates draft. Don't draft.
Yeah.
I don't love Brian Robinson either. I think he's an inefficient running back.
Coaches love him.
Coaches love him.
I think he was a top 10 running back last year. Oh, no, he wasn't.
He might get
RB21.
He might get some rushing attempts, but I just don't think there's much upside for him.
No, there's not.
So, yeah, I don't love him either. So I'm not really going after any running backs in this room.
Yeah, I'm not either. But if I had to pick one, I think I might take Brian Robinson.
Oh, yeah. If I had to pick one, I might take Brian Robinson too. All right, let's talk about the receivers. They got T-Mac. They got Jahan Dotson. They drafted Christian McCaffrey's brother, Luke McCaffrey, in the NFL draft. So 3 guys here. Luke McCaffrey he was drafted way, oh, wow. My brain thought he was drafted way late. He was drafted in the 3rd round. So there could be some upside here for Luke McCaffrey at some point, but I don't know that he's going to have
not a ton year one.
Much in the way of fantasy football success this year. But what are your thoughts on, and we know Terry McLaurin's Terry McLaurin, but what are your thoughts on Jahan Dotson as number 2 guy here?
Dotson, I think is okay. Last year kind of scares me. I did hate Eric Bieniemy. I do think he's a good offensive coach, but he would just rotate receivers, which would piss both of us off. Cliff Kingsbury is not going to do that, so Dotson's going to be the wide receiver too, which isn't bad. I just don't know. Is Jay Daniels going to be good enough to support 2 wide receivers?
No.
Year one as a passer?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So I don't really know what Dotson's ceiling is unless McLaurin were to get hurt. Mm-hmm. But he could be, he could be okay. He's going into year 3, so it could be a breakout season. He's at least the cleared 2nd receiver on the team now, which is good.
Of course.
So he's clearly going to be a starter every week. So there is some potential and some hope there, but I don't necessarily. I'm not in love with it because of Jaden Daniels and just how good he's going to be as a pure passer right out of the gate year 1.
Yeah, I don't. Jahan is he's going to be in and out of the last roster spot on your team a lot. So, yeah. But Terry McLaurin's still good. He's the wide receiver 29 in 2023. He's getting drafted at ADP on Underdog at 50. So. There definitely is some not concern.
He kind of is what he is too.
He is what he is. He's been, I would say, a wide receiver 2 on the low end for a while.
It's just touchdowns, dude. His career high in touchdowns outside as a rookie he had 7, but outside of his rookie season is 5. Wow. He had 4 last year. He's a 1,000-yard receiver every single season. He just doesn't get touchdowns.
The tough part with Terry McLaurin too is that he's getting older. He's going to be 29 this year. So,
is he really?
Yeah, he's played in the league for 5 years. So he's it could get interesting with Terry McLaurin. But if Jaden Daniels ends up being good, there could be upside for Terry McLaurin. I don't mind him at ADP of 50, but I'm not in love with him.
I don't mind him either. And one good thing about McLaurin, quickly, is Cliff Kingsbury historically loves to target the top guy in the offense. When it was DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona, when it was Hollywood Brown at first. Yeah. He does kind of like to use the top receivers. So it's good for Dotson too, and it's also potentially good for McLaurin. It's just, again, kind of similar, how good is Jaden Daniels going to be year 1? Is it going to be able to support a top 10 or 12 receiver? Mm-hmm. I think McLaurin is good for what he is. He's a good flex guy, maybe a wide receiver 2 on a weekly basis, but what's his ceiling really?
Yeah, for sure.
Good player though.
All right.
I don't want to take that away from him.
At the tight end position, they do have Zach Ertz, who's a corpse, but they drafted this guy Benson.
A lot of people are
in the 2nd round.
Getting moved up over Benson or Sinnott.
I don't want anything to do with him because
but you didn't see his one-handed catch for a touchdown.
That's great. I want something to root for in 2025.
People are saying he's the new Sam Laporta.
I'd love that. That would be great. It's not happening this year, fellas.
Yeah.
So,
and if it does, it's going to be
late season,
last 4 games of the season. It's not going to.
I can see people getting hyped up and going, "Oh, Benson Uck, I've been watching him. I've been watching him since he was a freshman." then drafting them in your draft leagues and then being cut at like 2 weeks into the season.
I'm not drafting him in redraft. He might be good next year, though.
Yeah, I agree. That could be the case. But any other thoughts on the Washington Commanders?
No, I think we touched on it.
Okay, let's move to the AFC East. All right, we're gonna rip through this division like nobody's business in 15 minutes here because that's all.
And this is our division. We should be well versed
on this. All right, Josh Allen.
Yep.
He is a top 3 quarterback in fantasy football for me pretty much every season because of his ceiling. Rushing,
are you still drafting him as QB1 without Diggs?
Was this the 3rd season in a row he could be QB1?
He was QB2 in 2022. Dude, this is insane. His run is actually crazy. 2020, QB1. 2021, QB1. 2022, QB2. 2023, QB1.
That's insane. Josh Allen is literally a fantasy football manager's dream to have on their team.
Dude, have you not had him on your team?
I had him, I think, 1 year on my team. I tried to trade for him last year, believe it or not.
Impossible.
His ADP is 37.5 on Underdog, so
that feels low for a QB1.
They wanted me to give them Stephon Diggs fell apart at the end of the season, so maybe I should have done it, but they wanted me to give them Stephon Diggs in exchange. Clean swap.
Yeah, at the time that's probably stupid, but hindsight would say that would have worked out for you.
Yeah. But Josh Allen
had 15 rushing touchdowns last year.
If you're drafting Josh Allen, if you're into drafting quarterbacks high, which I don't typically do, I'll do it occasionally.
Yeah.
If there's a guy that I would do it for, it would be Josh Allen. If I could.
So you're not concerned about losing Diggs, though.
That definitely could be a blow, but I still think he's a top 5 regardless.
But that would be something you would consider if you're going to take him as QB1.
Yes, which is probably why he's ADPing at 37.
Is that QB1 though?
No.
Or is it QB2?
I think it's like QB3 or 4.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right.
He's ranked as QB1 according to the expert consensus.
If he's going to be QB3 or 4, I'm taking that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. But Josh Allen's Josh Allen. I am like Rick said. He just brought up I see this is where we should be well versed on the AFC East, but my brain just farted. So, Josh Allen not having Stephon Diggs here is going to be a little bit of a downgrade. This is the first time we're going to see Josh Allen.
I think in some ways it might be good. Are you sure? Because a lot of his interceptions are just trying to force it to Diggs sometimes. I mean, he's Josh Allen. He's going to throw 12, 15 picks, whatever. He had 18 last year, so probably he's still going to throw a lot of interceptions. But he could.
We haven't
turn it down a couple.
The last time we saw Josh Allen without Stephon Diggs, it didn't look very good.
True, but wasn't he a rookie?
No, it was his 3rd year in the league.
Second year.
Second year.
His 3rd year in the league, he almost won MVP.
Josh is very good, and he should be able to figure it out. He has all the confidence in the world now.
I also think, for fantasy purposes, it's not necessarily a big deal because of his rushing.
Oh, yeah. So
and the reason, second half of the year, he rushed a lot.
That was what I was going to say, is that Josh Allen, the biggest thing with Josh Allen is that, he's not like Lamar Jackson with his rushing, but, he's going to throw it for 4,000 plus yards. He'll probably throw it for 25 plus touchdowns, but he also has the ability to rush, and I would say because he doesn't have Diggs in the red zone anymore, he's going to run it a lot.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some touchdowks to be had there.
No Gabe Davis either. No Gabe Davis, no Stephon Diggs.
Completely different receiving.
Bills offense this year.
We'll see what Josh Allen does. But let's talk about the running backs. James Cook kind of came on last year a little bit for people. I wanted to go into the game logs because early in the season he was doing okay.
He was kind of mid.
And then the middle part of the season here, from week 10 to I want to say week 15, 12, 19, 16, 25, 36, had a great stretch of games. And then week 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, not great. Not great, Bob.
Right.
Oh, they tracked the postseason.
RB12.
They tracked the postseason in here. But after that stretch of games I was talking about, he had 5, 5, and 8 to end the season. Your fantasy playoffs, if you were starting him and you got 5 points, that's devastating.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a guy that can handle as many reps as he got last year. I mean, if 280 touches, which is great. I'd love to see him get 280 touches again. But for an offense that I think is going to take a slight step back without Stephon Diggs, I don't know that I really believe in James Cook to take all. I don't think he's going to get the same opportunities he got. They also drafted a running back who looks like slow as molasses. He ran a 4.5, but he's
was he like a 5th round pick?
He's a 4th round pick, 4.2.
Oh, 4th round. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
so he's a 4th round pick. So I could see him and maybe Ty Johnson eating into some of the rushing workload for James Cook, but he's still going to be involved in the passing game.
Right.
They also picked up undrafted free agent Frank Gore Jr.
Oh,
Frank Gore Jr. baby, Frank Gore's son. So I was wondering where he went because no one drafted him. So he's going to be there as well. I don't know if he's going to be any good, but I think they do want to give some rushing work to somebody else to get James Cook some relief.
Yeah, I don't think Cook is the guy that's going to get a ton of carry. Like last year, he played every game. He was 100% healthy. He had 237 carries. That's kind of like the max. Like I think you're looking at a guy who gets like 220 probably.
Yeah.
Like just a little over 200. They're going to probably try, as you said, use someone else a little bit.
So,
but the thing with Cook is like he is in a really good offense and he is the pass catching back, like a really good one too. He was very efficient, had 4 touchdowns in the air.
Yeah.
And that's what his thing was coming out of college, right? Wasn't he a pass catching back?
Yeah.
Coming out of Georgia.
Yep, absolutely.
So, like, I do like James Cook, and then I'm like, it's James Cook. Like,
so his ADP is 56. So that's the problem. Is that like based on last year, I would normally look at James Cook and go, "Oh my God, yes, good offense, good player, 270 touches."
I'm not excited about him. I'm not out on him, but I'm just not like. I'm not excited about him.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be drafted very high in drafts because of what happened last year for that midway point in the season. I'm curious to see if they change anything on the offensive side of the ball, change their approach a little bit because maybe they don't have an elite wide receiver on the outside anymore. But ADPing at 56, that's a 5th round pick, 4th round pick. So that's a massive investment for a guy that I just am not sure about.
That's probably he's RB13 right now.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's tough. And like running backs behind him,
I'll
Joe
probably
Mixon,
have him between
Rashad White, Kenneth
15,
Walker,
17.
Montgomery, Alvin Kamara. Like you can make the argument for any one of those. I mean, maybe not Montgomery in PPR, but and Joe Mixon's kind of old, so he's kind of where I guess he should be, but maybe like 1 or 2 spots too high for me.
Why does Ray Davis look like he already has like 5 children with 3 different wives?
Yeah, he looks 10 years older than James Cook.
God, dude. James Cook looks like he could be his kid. Anyway, all right, let's quickly talk about receivers because we are running out of time.
This receiving room sucks.
Receiving room sucks now. You have Khalil Shakir, so the Shakir truthers.
Hey, that was me.
Hey, could get some chances this year. He already had some opportunities in the past. Hasn't really I want to say last year, week 17.
It was okay last year.
17th game, he had 16 fantasy points. There was only a couple startable games for him last year, but I think with more opportunity, you could see some upside. So increased opportunity for Khalil Shakir, I think, makes him a little bit of a sleeper. Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa.
In fantasy football. And then they also drafted in the first round Keon Coleman, who's going at pick 78. So he should take the bulk of Stephon Diggs' work. But Coleman is an interesting guy. He's been apparently lighting up at camp, which I don't care. But he ran a 4.61.
Yeah.
Which is brutal.
That's what people
That's bad.
A lot of people were out on him.
That's tight end speed.
But he went to the Bills. And they drafted him in the first round. And he's the white. Like, look at the rest of the room outside of him. I think he's going to be the Gabe Davis. Which take that.
Well, Gabe Davis was a field stretching speed guy.
Was he that fast? Coleman, I know he's a field stretcher. But...
Keon Coleman is.
Okay, so then he's the red zone guy.
Yeah, he's Devontae Parker.
In a good offense.
Sure.
It's weird. He is a tough one because it's like, how good is he really going to be? But dude, he could walk into that room, be either the 1 or number 2 receiver in a top 10 offense.
Yeah,
right out the gate.
I just want to know how he plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
I've seen wide receivers in the past catch 7 to 10 balls and then do nothing anywhere else.
Also, if they run the same offense they did, remember how they switched their offense halfway through the season?
Yeah.
So they went from like a pass-heavy team to a run-heavy team.
Yeah.
Like if they're a run-heavy team and you're unsure about Keon Coleman, then it is what it is. But all the reports out of camp is saying he's been great.
I'd like to
be the wide receiver 1.
I'm not gonna lie. I'd like to believe he's picked 78 right now, which puts him in like the 7th round.
Could be a league winner.
He could be.
Could also be a bust.
The thing that's really kind of like hitting me in the face right now is just the lack of explosiveness from this guy. Like, what does he do well besides like
he's being big? Think of what does T. Higgins run? Is T. Higgins a fast player? I guess he is a little bit, but he's going to be like that. He's a jump ball guy. I know you're scarred from Parker, but
his burst score is 82. So like, it's not like I want to see if A, he can get open, and B, if he can make plays after the catch. Because if he could do those two things, I think he'll be fine. But if he's not explosive, he's not going to get open way downfield. You know what I'm saying? And if that's the case, then what is his upside?
I mean, T. Higgins ran a 4.59. That was high school.
Like his comp is Allen Robinson, which is like a solid wide receiver 2 range guy. I just think that the ceiling for him should be capped. I think it should be like, I know everyone's going to treat him like he's this number 1 guy, but I could see him having a season similar to that of like Rashee Rice last year.
Which would still be really good.
Yeah, it would still be good, but it wouldn't be, it's not. Yeah,
that's still wasn't Rice a top 20 receiver last year?
Yes, yeah. But I think that's what he could be. If he hits his ceiling, that's what he is. I don't think he can get past that. So
okay,
that's just me. But they also have other guys. They brought.
I'm caught up on the room. Like I like Khalil Shakir, but he's not a wide receiver 1. I don't even know if he's a wide receiver 2.
No.
And Curtis Samuel has been okay, but he's always injured.
They also got MVS,
who's probably going to be cut.
Chase Claypool, Mac Hollins. I mean, they got a room filled.
Claypool might get cut as well.
Bunch of bobos. So we'll see who makes it. But yeah, those are going to be the 2 main guys you got to keep an eye on.
Coleman, I think by far has the highest ceiling in that receiver room by far.
Yeah, I just don't know if I want to take him in the 7th round.
Fair.
So, all right, let's move to the tight end position. Kincaid, really great last year. I think actually the winner of the target sweepstakes, right?
Kincaid.
Is probably going to be Kincaid.
Yeah, he'll have 100 targets at least.
I think he could challenge for tight end 1 this year.
I don't disagree.
He's right now ranked tight end 5.
I think he's getting drafted as like tight end 4.
Oh, bro.
So he's getting drafted very high.
Yeah, I was going to tell you right now he's ranked tight end 5, and I might draft him.
You can draft him at tight end 5?
I might draft him at tight end
5. 5th round pick?
Dalton Kincaid saved me a lot of games last year, I'll tell you that much.
He's good. He's very good.
He's only slightly slower than Keon Coleman.
That would be a fun stack too. Josh Allen and Kincaid.
Yep. Oh, that's a lot of assets to one area.
Yeah.
Like 2 areas that you can get better elsewhere.
Probably.
You have to spend 2 of your first 5 picks on Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid to make that happen.
But you have Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid. I said it would be fun.
He said it would be fun. He didn't say it would win fantasy games. All right, that's the Buffalo Bills. Let's move on to another team. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins quickly.
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa still the quarterback. Last year he was the QB9 on the season, which I think is about where he is. That's about what he is as a player if he's playing his best football. His ADP is 124.
Where was he, QB9?
Yeah. I could see him as a player that, like, I always talk about Rick Strat because it works, but the draft a younger quarterback between rounds 10 and 15 and then draft a guy like Tua and slap him in your starting lineup and just let Tua
now,
play until
you also like I could see a scenario if you draft Tyreek Hill in the first round, go ahead and draft Tua later on.
Tua,
and get like Jaden Daniels to go with it.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. But I don't mind Tua Tagovailoa. I think the excitement level should be capped for him though, because I don't think there's much.
Yeah, but he's getting. I mean, he's QB 15, so it's like he's Jared Goff.
He also was very healthy last year. But I don't know how long the health is going to last for him. Like he has been known as an injury-prone quarterback in the past. So, let's move to the running back position quickly. They got Mostert. I was actually kind of curious as I was going.
Mostert had 18 touchdowns last year
because Mostert was crazy good last year. I think he was top 2 in fantasy points at the running back position, which is freaking crazy. And I wanted to see where the fantasy community and where people kind of were hyping him in. And Raheem Mostert, not really there. People are not treating him like he's that top 2-3 running back in fantasy football that they saw last year. He's ranked by Fantasy Pros 26. He's getting drafted by the fantasy community on Underdog at 93. So definitely not the same player. He's 32 years old. Don't think he's going to have that same explosiveness.
No.
I think.
And from early talks of training camp, like it's A-Chain's backfield as well.
Yeah, so I was gonna say this is A-Chain's backfield. This is his gig, and I like him a lot. I like A-Chain significant amounts. He is going at ADP of 23. We both like A-Chain. We both would probably draft him in that range just because of how good the Dolphins' offense is. Does Jalen Wright getting drafted by this team in the 4th round concern you at all?
No, I think he's probably in a red shirt, and if he doesn't, I feel like he's more of a Mostert replacement than anything. Okay. Because Mostert was insane last year. 18 rushing touchdowns is crazy, but he's a 32-year-old running back. So it's like, is he gonna be around next year? Mm-hmm. I don't really think so. He has an injury history as well, so I think it's more of insurance.
I will say,
because I do think, unfortunately, and with A-Chain, just his body type, like they're gonna want 2 running backs.
Yeah,
at all times.
I think I like, because I don't think Jalen Wright in Underdog people are gonna take Jalen Wright for if A-Chain. Mostert's an old man, so I could see him getting hurt, and then A-Chain is the way that he is. I think Wright is getting drafted in best ball at that range of like 90 to 100 because there's the chance that he could.
He's getting drafted that high.
Yeah, he could explode onto the scene. I want to check one more time just to confirm. No, he's at 159. Crazy. I'm sorry. Holy crap. I'm glad
he's
that's the case. I convinced myself he was in 90. He's 159, so we're good.
Oh, okay. All right.
Jalen Wright might actually be a dude that I draft with my last pick in redraft leagues, just on the sheer case of like, okay, if something happens or A-Chain isn't as good as we thought he was last year, it's not like Wright isn't any slower. You know what I mean? Right. 4.38. So like, if he comes in and he ends up being really good, I think there could be. A-Chain, like, he had a game last year where he scored 51 fantasy points. Yeah.
At the running back position, which is just unreal. And then his next 2 weeks were 27 and 21, and then he got hurt. Like, as long as he's healthy,
Rick's living on
he can take an 80-yard a run 80 yards at any moment.
Yeah,
I am getting lubed up for him because the problem with him though, I don't think he'll ever be RB1, like the true RB1, because his workload. Like, I don't think they'll ever give him 30 touches.
Yeah,
So
I think A-Chain
even the game he had 51 fantasy points, he had 22 touches in that game.
Wow. Yeah, I think A-Chain's going to be the guy at the end of the day. I do think I think I said 21. I think that's a little high, but it would be worth it at the end if the Dolphins are still explosive. And I do think Jalen Wright's a good sleeper. I wouldn't take Raheem Mostert. I think he's just too old. It wouldn't surprise me.
The only running back I think I might take over A-Chain at current ADP, because he's RB7.
Yeah,
is probably Kyron, RB8.
Yeah,
but like, then it's like Derrick Henry and Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Etienne.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, I'll take A-Chain over any of those guys. So I don't really mind him at his spot.
Etienne was It's good.
Etienne was good.
All right, wide receivers, Tyreek Hill. I'm going to say he's the same as he was. He should be drafted probably in the top 3. I will start being concerned starting now with Tyreek Hill's age at 30 years old. He was already dealing with some injuries last year. He is getting on the older side, so at some point there is going to be a downward trend for Tyreek Hill. I don't think it's going to happen this year because he was he was ridiculous last year. There was nothing that really showed that he was going to suck. But just be prepared.
Hill's going to be one of those guys that I would rather be a year early than a year late because he relies on speed, and like that goes down with age. But 30 years old, so he's not like I'm not there yet with him. Like this year, I'm still all in on Tyreek Hill. Maybe next year we'll probably start that conversation, but as of now, I think I'm still all in.
Dog can win you weeks.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I mean, he's wide receiver 2 back-to-back years with Miami.
Yeah. And he wasn't even that like, I mean, he had some big games last year, but he didn't have any like 30, 40-point games, which is something that you see from him.
Well, he had 44 in week 1.
Okay. See, the freaking fantasy pros, I swear.
But after
Change your settings, please. Every time I load a page, it reloads back to standard. You're right. Never mind. 40.
But, yeah, I mean, it's just funny because in the beginning of his career, he was like boom or bust. You know, he didn't. His worst game last year was 10 fantasy points.
I was like looking at his numbers, and I'm like, why 20 blows? That stinks. So
he did not have a single game last year with single-digit fantasy points.
Yeah, in PPR, he's crazy good.
In PPR, yeah.
So I don't think the real conversation here is Jalen Waddle. Waddle, as did Devonta Smith.
Yeah,
had a down year last year. A little bit disappointing. What is your feelings for Jalen Waddle?
I still kind of like him. I mean, obviously he did disappoint last year. What is he going like? Wide receiver 16?
I think so.
He's wide receiver 15 on Underdog.
Yeah.
Is maybe a tad high, but I mean, if Tyreek Hill gets hurt at all, see that's the thing. Like Tyreek Hill has been completely healthy. Like if Tyreek Hill misses even like a game, like a few games, Waddle instantly becomes, for the weeks that Tyreek Hill is out, Waddle is a top like 6 or 7 receiver those weeks. So his problem is just he might be capped with Tyreek Hill. I think he's kind of like Devontae Smith. Like he's a really good player. I still really like him on my team. I don't think he can be your wide receiver 1 though. Like he's probably wide receiver like 16, 17, 18, somewhere in that range.
Okay. All right, yeah, I don't disagree with you. I still will draft him because I do think I still draft him as well. The explosive weapons on that team are just too good to not.
Yeah.
But all right, and then they have Odell. Stay the hell away from Odell Beckham. I'm telling you right now, people. We're not even gonna spend much time on that. No. Tight ends, they don't really have anyone, but they don't really throw it to the tight ends. They do have John.
They don't
Smith,
use tight ends much.
Who I think they brought in this offseason. But they don't use the tight end position much, so I would stay entirely away from them.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the New England Patriots.
Who
had
our team
a transformative offseason, as much as you want to call it that. Made a ton of changes to their football team. Rick and I will not get into the nuances of those changes because we could spend hours talking about it.
Yeah, we will.
They signed at the quarterback position. We'll start there. It completely revamped. I think by the end of camp, when Bailey Zappi is gone, you're going to have an entirely different quarterback room than you did when you started the season last year. And so they signed Jacoby Brissett. They drafted Drake May. They drafted Joe Milton. They still got Zappi in there, but it's right now between Jacoby Brissett and Drake May for the starting job. Rick and I were talking before the show. The assumption that we're living under right now is that Brissett is the starter
for week 1 at least.
For week 1 at least. I do have a question really quick for you.
Yeah,
because Brissett is not a draft with this offense and the way that it is. He's not draftable.
No.
If Drake May was the assumed week 1 starter, just quickly, like one sentence, would you draft Drake May like in the last round?
Because I'm a Pats fan, yeah. But I will say May,
as a fantasy expert,
quickly, if he plays, he does have rushing upside.
Yep.
So he could be a good streaming option.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So Brissett will start week 1. My question that I was thinking of was, if the Patriots end up winning more games than we expect, do you think they'll pull a Dolphins-style switcherooski when they drafted Tua, where they just, after going 3-3 to start the season, they just dump Jacoby Brissett, stick Drake May in there, and
if they're 3-3, I don't think they're. I think Brissett stays.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I agree. I think Brissett will stay as a.
I don't think they're going to dump Brissett unless like they're really bad or he's really bad.
Okay,
but if they're winning and he's playing fine, they're going to roll with it until something changes.
So yeah, we're under the assumption May will start at some point this year, and we'll see him. But neither of these guys really are going to be fantasy relevant this year. So
yeah,
running back position, they got one dog.
Yeah,
and we've always kind of liked Gibson in the past, but his role will probably be limited to the pass catching back for the football team, which is what it should have been with the Washington Commanders, but they're stupid bricks.
I mean, it was last couple of years. He had 59 targets last year.
I know. I just want to see.
And 58 the year before.
I want to see more. He's a receiver. He's a wide receiver out of college.
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson, though, is going to be the guy. He underwhelmed last year, which is, I think, what we could have told you.
Yep.
As Pats fans watching this garbage, we could have told you he was going to have an underwhelming season, but I guess not. Mondre finished, what was it, as the running back. Holy crap.
He was 35, but he only played 12 games.
35. He only played 12 games. So he still has some upside. He's a good running back in fantasy football.
I'll say this. I like him a lot more this year than I did last year.
Oh, yeah, because his ADP's better. 82?
His ADP's better. And if you listen to Mayo, who has been pretty honest with the media.
They're going to run the ball.
Like if he's healthy, he's getting like close. He's getting like 250, 260, 270 carries. He's going to get a lot of touches. So as an RB20, I'll take that all day.
He likes to touch the ladies, and he likes to touch the football.
Wow.
Yeah, so I like Mondre too. At pick, what did I say it was? 82?
81. Pick 81.
So he's got massive upside.
Yeah, I'm taking that every single time.
Like if he, I don't even know what number running back that is, but
it's RB20.
It's RB20. Like, if he outperforms RB20 to like RB like 14, you've already jumped 6 spots and you're.
Yeah, and I've seen some drafts where he's like RB25, RB26. Like,
I don't think the offense is going to be highly efficient, so keep an eye on that. But
you don't need him to get 15. The year before he was RB7, he only had 6 touchdowns. He was just really good in the passing game, and he had over 1,000 rushing yards. And that was pretty much it. He was a low-end RB1 from just getting a lot of touches. So I think and he was efficient with the touches. That's the biggest thing. Last year he wasn't efficient. So we'll see if he can get closer to that yards per game. But I do like Ramondre. I'm in on Ramondre this year.
All right, let's talk about the wide receiver position. This is the group that has been massively overhauled from seasons past. They still got Pop. But they drafted Jalen Polk. They drafted Javon Baker. They got Kendrick Bourne. Bourne hasn't really been a fantasy option for them realistically. Baker's popping at camp. Polk's making plays like a first-round pick. And Pop's he's good. He's wearing the red shirt because the dude can't stay healthy to save his freaking life. What are you doing for fantasy football with any of these guys?
I actually would take a flyer on both Polk and I would take a flyer on Pop Douglas based on where they're getting drafted. Because neither of them are getting drafted in the first 12 rounds.
Polk's ADP 135, Pop is 154.
Yeah, I would take a flyer on both those guys at that ADP.
I would too.
Pop too. And I like Polk, but Pop at 155 for a guy who could get a lot of catches this year, I think could be a steal. Yeah,
I totally agree with that. Okay. There's not the ceilings aren't high, by the way.
Maybe halfway through the year, Javon Baker can surprise us, but I think drafting wise, you're not drafting him.
I think flyers on Jalen Polk and Pop Douglas aren't bad because I don't think the offense is going to be as bad as people anticipate it's going to be. But I don't see
last year was putting up 10 points a week.
If my big thing is that if May isn't playing, I think the ceilings are capped for these guys, where if May comes in and he plays well, then their
but even
ceiling's
like I don't know. The last year they were just so bad passing.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Brissett's going to be good. But if he's just what he was with Cleveland and the Indianapolis Colts, like that's going to be better than what they had last year.
Yeah, of course. I still don't. Like I said, I still like. You see the comparison to like Houston, for example, where Stroud came in, and they had drafted the year before. What's his name? Nico Collins, and then they drafted Tank Dell in like the second round, and Tank ended up being like a top 20 wide receiver. Nico ended up being like a top 20, 25
right. It's
receiver.
not going to be like that.
It's not going to be like that, but if May comes in and he plays well, then I think you could see that Demario Douglas and Jalen Polk start to have those like really good seasons. Whereas I think, you with Jacoby Brissett, you might get some games out of him. They might have some success.
Well, I just think like Pop specifically, I like Pop the most because I think PPR wise, he's going to get a lot of catches.
Yep.
I don't know how great they're going to be. I don't know how many touchdowns he's going to get, but he's going to like he has a floor. I feel like he's going to get like 5 catches a week. So he's going to get you 10 fantasy points a week, I think. And or he has the potential to do that even with Brissett.
Yep.
And considering he's like a 15th, 14th round pick, like I'm doing that 10 times out of 10.
For sure. Tight ends, they have Hunter Henry. They also signed Austin Hoop. There it is. Hunter Henry is a decent fantasy tight end at times. I wouldn't mind a flyer on him, especially if the offense is improved because there could be touchdowns involved for him. But he's just kind of like he's a streaming tight end that's hit or miss depending on the week. So
he might be my favorite streaming tight end, but he's probably not draftable.
Yeah, probably not draftable at this point. All right, let's talk about the New York Jets real quick because we're way over time here. Aaron Rodgers still here, still alive.
Yeah,
the 5-second man. He's healthy. He's out there practicing, getting into fights with Garrett Wilson. So, not showing up for minicamp.
Yep.
Which is a good sign.
I just want to say though, apparently the other day he went 19 of 20 with 3 touchdowns. Just saying.
Okay, were they in shells? Were they wearing pads?
They were wearing pads.
They weren't wearing pads. There's no way.
But maybe they weren't wearing pads.
It was shells.
But it was recently. It was recent.
They can't for the first 7 days.
It was within the last like 3 or 4 days.
We could have been with pads on. Yeah, no. Rodgers tore his Achilles. He's old as crap. So I think expectations. He's 40 years old. He tore his Achilles. I don't have much expectations for him.
Yeah.
I think he's just going to be a mid-level quarterback, which could be good for the New York Jets, but for fantasy football, not great.
Yeah,
Bob. So I'm not drafting him. I'm not looking at him for fantasy football.
I would agree with that. I do think though he's going to be a really good streaming option. Like they'll get some easy matchups.
Aaron Rodgers is a streaming option.
I know how the mighty have fallen.
Somebody is going to pick him.
He's like Matt Stafford. And like what are you drafting Matt Stafford?
No. Well, yeah, maybe.
But he's a really good if he's out
somebody in our league is gonna take Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Last pick, and they're gonna just hold him. They're just gonna hold him.
That's true. Knowing our league, yeah, that is true.
Okay, running backs. So I mean, Rodgers makes their offense better than whatever the hell happened last year. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Running back position, we have Breece Hall.
They had bottom 3 or 4 offense last year, didn't they?
Yeah, it was brutal. They have Breece Hall at the running back position, who last season played all 17 games, which was pretty good, had 17.1 fantasy points per game. He was good, finished as the RB2 in PPR, I think.
He was RB2 last year?
That can't be right.
Wow. I mean, he had 76 catches.
Hold up. We're taking a look at it. He was RB2 in PPR?
Yeah.
What the freak?
Well, it makes sense because he's getting drafted as a 8th overall pick.
In a better offense? Holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Breece Hall's real good.
There are the people out there that I've seen that are saying Breece Hall 101.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't do that. You should probably draft Christian McCaffrey for being real. But Breece is good. Yeah, I would take Breece in the first round. I would be okay. I'd take him top 5.
Okay, yeah.
Unless
I agree.
I like receivers better in PPR anyway. But
yeah, I do too. But I mean, he's picked 8 right now. So if you have the 8th overall pick, I'll take Breece Hall.
Okay. Wide receivers, we have Garrett Wilson. They signed Michael Williams here, so he comes this
Mike Williams, baby,
big
from
body.
Chargers.
This is the kind of guy that I see. We were just talking about what's his name, Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
I could. See that
he's
Mike
kind of like
Williams.
Mike Williams a little bit.
He 4.5.
I think Mike Williams is faster. Maybe not anymore, but in the beginning of his
faster. His speed 40-yard dash from the combine was 4.59.
Oh, okay.
4.61 for Keon, so right there.
There's your player comp.
Mike
Williams, though.
Brother, don't get me going because I've always been chasing those 30-point games. Those random, like, massive 30-point games from Mike Williams. Anyway, they don't have anyone on this football team to catch the football besides Mike Williams and Garrett Wilson. So, what are your thoughts?
And Mike Williams right now, because he tore his ACL last year, so he's still not practicing. I think he's on the Kendrick Bourne timeline. So there's a chance he misses the first, the first 4 weeks, the early IR. Mm-hmm. There's reports that he might go on that, but he might not. So
they also have Malachi Corley, who they drafted at pick 301, which is basically a second-round pick. So
I heard he's trash, though.
Okay, all right.
It's just what I'm hearing from my New York Jets
4.61
reporters.
Oh my god, dude! What is with these people drafting 4.61 speed? It's like the NFL.
And that kind of sucks.
Everyone's watching the Dolphins drop 50 points on everyone with their guys that all run 4.28s, and then they're like, you know what? Got to draft Keon Coleman.
How do you? Because I obviously know we all know how I feel about Garrett Wilson. How do you feel about Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson is. Do we go back to last year? His ADP is 10 right now. Do we go back to the preseason last year before Aaron Rodgers got hurt and hype him back into top 10 status?
I mean,
is that what we're doing?
I'll say again, it's just training camp and it's early and all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure that the report that I saw where Aaron Rodgers went 19 of 20, Garrett Wilson had 11 of those. So he's just throwing it to Garrett Wilson.
I was gonna say.
And he had 168 targets.
Based on what we saw from last year, if the offense is more efficient and they can score touchdowns under Aaron Rodgers and it doesn't look like a complete calamity, then I love Garrett Wilson. I think he's fine. I think the one thing that he has been missing, which honestly, what is this?
He's going into year 3.
Third year. Contract stuff's going to start coming up. I don't think he's going to be long for the Jets, my dude.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to get the freak out of there as fast as I would. Going into this upcoming offseason, going into year 4, it would not surprise me if it doesn't go well that he demands trades. Random guy that comes available. Keep an eye on him. But he's very good. So, you're right. I mean, I don't know how we don't.
I'm a little worried, and this is just
I don't know how we look at him as a top 10 receiver.
I'm a little worried that he's never been injured in his career.
Okay, don't. What the hell, bro?
I know.
Why would you say stuff like that? I like it, though. You're thinking about it.
That does scare me. That does scare me.
Thinking about Garrett Wilson.
Of course, what the way my teams have been.
That's what I was going to say. It took you 3 seasons of being complete trash in the home league for you to pick it up. Don't draft the
if Garrett Wilson is healthy and Aaron Rodgers is out and everything goes well, I think he has potential.
I do
be a top 5 receiver.
I don't mind. Mike Williams is old. Don't get me wrong, and he has the ACL injury, so that's not too beneficial. But his ADP is 132, so I don't mind him as a sleeper play.
I don't either. He might miss the first 4 weeks though,
which would suck. Which I don't even know that I don't even know if I want that. But if he's on the bench, does it matter?
Right. If he's on your IR.
Yeah. Okay, and then at the tight end position, they still got Conklin, but I feel like they got so many weapons at receiver, they're not going to throw it there.
I don't know, bro. Conklin's kind of a sleeper for me. Stop it. It all depends on Rodgers.
Stop it, bro. You see, you're doing this thing again. Where you're liking the Jets.
Dude, he had... do you want to know Tyler Conklin's numbers last year?
Conklin's a good tight end. There's so many tight ends out there. I'd rather have Hunter Henry.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. But Conklin had 87 targets, 61 catches, 0 touchdowns. So if he puts up the exact same stat line and you give him 5 or 6 touchdowns,
Yeah, but I
He's
don't
a
think
top 12 tight
I
end.
don't think Rodgers is gonna be dinking it to the tight end position. Ain't gonna lie.
He might a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There you go, guys. Long episode. The next one will 1000% be short. 5 minutes per team. We're gonna do rapid fire on the next show. Thank you for listening to the breakdowns. We got one more breakdown show to go, and then we're gonna open it up for all fantasy football stuff. We'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.